So one of the questions I get asked a lot by both buyers and sellers is, what type of defects is a seller obligated to disclose to a buyer when they're selling their property? So the rules in real estate are pretty clear. A seller has an obligation to disclose any material latent defects with their property that they are aware of. Now, material latent defect is really just a fancy legal term that means major hidden defect. So again, if a seller is aware of a major hidden defect with the property, they are supposed to be proactively disclosing that defect to any buyer who might be interested in making an offer. So major means that the defect is serious enough that it would reasonably impact the buyer's willingness to purchase that property, or at least have a real serious impact on what they might be willing to pay for that property. So a scuff on the wall, a broken window crank, things like that, those are not major defects that a seller is obligated to disclose. Hidden means that the defect is known to the seller, but it's not something that you could expect a buyer to uncover on their own through a reasonable inspection, right? When we do real estate inspections, we bring in a home inspector, we're doing a visual inspection. We're not looking behind the walls, things like that. So if the seller's aware of anything that a buyer's not able to uncover themselves through a reasonable inspection, they're supposed to disclose. So I'll give you a few examples. If a property's got a roof that needs to be replaced, for example, right? The shingles are peeling, that's something that can easily be observed and discovered through an inspection. So that's not something the seller has to disclose. However, if the seller's aware that there's faulty electrical wiring behind the walls, if the seller's aware that they get 6 to 12 inches of water in their basement every spring when the snow thaws, but they're listing the home in July, that's the type of thing that they have to proactively disclose to buyers. Otherwise, they risk getting sued if and when that property is sold, or after that property is sold. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of gray in those definitions. What's a reasonable inspection? What's a major defect versus a minor defect? So my personal advice to sellers is, when in doubt, do one of two things. Either just disclose, that way there's no nasty surprises for everyone, or speak to your lawyer, speak to your real estate lawyer, and take their advice. So at least they're on the hook for it. Ultimately, buyers want to know as much as they can about the property. So from a buyer's perspective, they would always prefer that you just disclose everything so that they would know. But again, as a seller, speak to your lawyer, or when in doubt, just disclose. So I hope you found that information helpful. Maybe you didn't. Either way, I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions, send me a direct message. And for everybody else, don't forget to like and subscribe.